Chapter 4. Fading Hopes. As Stephen frantically dialed the labs that held the precious samples, the unsettling realization took root: the artifact's disappearance extended beyond the battlefield. Each call ended with the same disheartening confirmation: the samples were missing, leaving the archaeologists in a state of disbelief and vulnerability. Meanwhile, Dr. Whitmore attempted to access the server containing their research files. His brow furrowed as he navigated through corrupted data, a digital echo of the chaos that had unfolded at the excavation site. The truth, it seemed, was slipping away, erased by an unseen force with motive shrouded in darkness. Days passed with futile attempts to recover the lost data and tighten the security perimeter. Cody's call for reinforcements seemed lost in bureaucratic purgatory, only to be met with denial and orders to move out within the next 48 hours. Cody thought to himself, how dare they leave these people unprotected, and decided he would take it up the chain of command himself. In a cramped tent, serving as an office, Cody called his superior directly, arguing passionately for reinforcements and against the impending withdrawal. Tensions rose as his pleas fell on deaf ears. "We can't pull out now. There's a clear threat. The artifacts are gone, and they won't stop until they have what they want," Cody argued, frustration seeping into his voice. His superior, a stern figure hardened by years of military service, looked out his window with a mix of sympathy and authority while holding the phone. "Cody, you need to understand the bigger picture. We know the Canadians are planning on pulling the permits. This operation is over. We can't keep boots on the ground against the wishes of one of our own allies. They're going to cancel the permit over an Indigenous People Act, or something. It really doesn't matter. They just don't want anyone on the site any longer." Cody, his jaw clenched, fought to contain his frustration. "Sir, with all due respect, I'm sure you read the report. We can't abandon those archaeologists. The Serpentis Obscura won't stop with this. If we don't act now, the consequences could lead to blood being on our hands." His superior sighed, leaning back in his chair. "I understand your concern. Officially there is no group by that name. You understand me, soldier? You're dealing with forces beyond your control and apparently understanding. My hands are tied. It's not just about this excavation. It's about larger geopolitical consequences. You have orders, and you need to follow them." The phone fell silent. Cody knew he had pushed the boundaries of insubordination and had to accept the orders. He did what he could, but orders were orders. "Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Thank you, sir." As the call ended, Cody was left grappling with the reality of their situation. The military, aware of an impending withdrawal of Canadian permission, considered the mission futile. The archaeologists and their discoveries were left vulnerable, caught in a web of geopolitical intrigue and unseen forces. Determined to inform the team, Cody gathered them in the makeshift command center. The news of the impending pulling of their permits hit hard, sparking a tense discussion about their next move. In the face of impending departure, they hatched a daring plan, not wanting to allow the Serpentis Obscura to win. Sophie actually came up with the idea. They were going to open the sealed vault and broadcast the event live over the internet. With time constraints, Stephen reluctantly suggested using dynamite to open the door. "It's no worse than anything we ever did to the pyramids, or the Sphinx. The Germans even decided to use it for target practice during World War II. He added. "We would use the bare minimum to punch a small hole through, mostly cracking the door into pieces. It's not much worse than a big firecracker, as long as the structure stays sound. We can enter after that and start the live video feed." The team, fueled by the urgency of their mission, began crafting a strategy, leveraging military satellite communications to share the unveiling of the Hall of Eternity with the world. The risk was high, but they knew the importance of exposing the truth to counter the shadowy forces that sought to erase it. The countdown to their bold endeavor had begun. In the dimly lit chamber, the archaeologists meticulously set up their equipment, drilling precise holes into the ancient stone doors. Cody, Sophie, and Stephen worked together, their faces etched with determination, as they strategically placed charges to crack open the sealed vault. As the charges were set, the team hacked into the military uplink, bypassing the bureaucracy to broadcast the historic event directly online. The countdown began, synchronized with the drilling and the anticipation of revealing the secrets hidden within the Hall of Eternity. With a thunderous roar, the charges detonated, sending echoes through the cavernous space. The stone doors, marked by centuries of mystery, fractured into pieces, revealing a breathtaking sight reminiscent of the Library of Alexandria. Ancient texts, scrolls, and artifacts lined the shelves, accompanied by remarkable contraptions like a pump of some kind made entirely out of what appeared to be brass, a Stirling-type engine made of the same metal, evoking the marvels of a bygone era. Unbeknownst to the archaeologists, the military detected the hack and swiftly shut down the live feed, leaving the world unaware of the unfolding discovery. As the team cautiously entered the library, they marveled at the treasures, including a device resembling an ancient Chinese seismograph. Only instead of dragons, there seemed to be what could only be described as tiny Bigfoot figurines. That seems to be the case with everything. They definitely were not human. There were no clothes or loincloth on any of the large towering figures, their immense musculature clearly visible underneath a beautiful thick coat of hair on anything that depicted them. Sophie, with her gray eyes wide open in disbelief, looked at Dr. Whitmore and said, "I'm sorry Dr. Whitmore about before, I thought you really were teasing me, but I can see now you were right about your assumption." Dr. Whitmore only nodded. He was in just as much astonishment as her because his hypothesis was correct. It was only for fun in a hypothetical situation, but here they were among artifacts telling them otherwise. Stephen, not privy to the conversation and understanding the time constraints they were under, insisted on starting to film as much of the library. It was obvious now that it was a library of sorts, as they could. The building was enormous, ground-penetrating radar, and had told them that it continued underground, and they were only able to gain access to the upper level through a door that they had by chance uncovered just recently. "Come on, let's document as much of this as we can. I'm sure our viewers want to see it as much as we do." Stephen got them back on track and ready to face the world, a mix of excitement and concern etched on their faces. Unknown to them, the military had cut off the live feed. Stephen began to address the virtual audience. "Hello, world. I'm Stephen Anderson, the archaeologist leading this expedition," he declared, the echo of his voice resonating in the ancient chamber. "What we've uncovered here is beyond extraordinary. The excavation date started with artifacts from 3.2 million years ago, to about 500,000 years ago. The structure we're in dates back around 500,000 years. It belongs to a hominid species called Paranthropus boisei." As Stephen passionately shared the astounding details, he continued, unaware that the world was not seeing any of this. "Now, I need your support. The Canadian government is trying to shut down our permission to continue this crucial excavation. There's a clandestine effort to cover up our findings. We need the people's backing to ensure this dig can continue, to unravel the mysteries hidden within the Hall of Eternity." His plea carried a sense of urgency, not just for the archaeologists, but for the collective understanding of humanity's past. The hidden forces, both governmental and clandestine, sought to obscure the truth, making the support of the people crucial in their battle to preserve the knowledge that could reshape history. Just as Stephen started to show the non-existent audience some of what they had just seen, another archaeologist from the site came running in. "They're here, Canadian Mounties. They say we have to leave immediately." Just then, an imposing man clad in red with several others in the same uniform came in, followed by Cody shaking his head. "Sorry Doc, they have orders and papers to have my troops and I'll let them through. Dr. Stephen Anderson, you and your team are to be escorted off this site immediately. Please come with us. We will escort you back to the camp where you may pack up as much as you can in the next couple of hours before the transport shows up. This area has been declared sacred and protected under the Indigenous Peoples Act." Stephen, though conflicted, accepted the directive fairly quickly, realizing the implications of the sacred designation and the larger geopolitical forces at play. "Understood," he conceded, knowing that resisting would only complicate matters further. He also still believed that their discovery had been live-streamed and there was no need to resist. Dr. Whitmore, with his experience, knew where this was about to go and had secretly turned on his phone and started video recording. It wasn't much good for making calls here, but he had kept it charged anyway, and was using it now, while carefully concealing it from their new guests. On the way out, the Mounties, as expected, confiscated the camera that Sophie had been using to document their discovery and broadcast to the world. Dr. Whitmore smirked with satisfaction, proud of his prediction. Then, on the way out, he noticed a mural. Unlike any of the others, it depicted naked apes, not the beautiful muscular, hair-covered forms they had seen throughout the library. These were vicious, skinny, hairless, throwing rocks and spears at hair-covered hominids. Some scenes had them covered in blood, others swarming around a single hair-covered biped with spears pointed towards it. He made sure his camera would capture as many of the murals as possible while being careful to conceal the fact that he had a camera recording what he could see. So, under concealment, he captured as many artifacts and murals as possible on the return to camp. Back at the camp, the archaeologists hastily packed their belongings, the weight of disappointment heavy in the air. As they regrouped, a team member somberly approached, breaking the news: the live feed was cut before you even entered the vault. The world didn't see what you uncovered. Sophie, realizing the gravity of the situation, asked, "What do we do now?" Dr. Whitmore, with a sigh, responded, "We have to do what we're told. The circumstances are beyond our control. We don't have to like it, but unfortunately, if we don't follow their orders, we may be locked up or worse." Sophie, frustration evident, declared, "The Serpentis Obscura have won." Dr. Whitmore, however, grinned and said, "It may be too soon to tell. Let's get ready to go home." The enigmatic smile hinted at a lingering hope, even in the face of apparent defeat, leaving the team with a mix of uncertainty and determination as they prepared to leave the site of their remarkable discovery. If you like this content, or any of my other content, please hit the like button and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave comments below. Thank you for your support and listening.